It's another beautiful Saturday morning, and we bid you welcome to the Morning Buzz right here on Voice of the People Television. Sincere apologies for starting a bit late. We just had to make sure we get it right from our end. And of course, you know how we do it. It's a beautiful Saturday morning, the 26th day in the month of April 2025, and we bid you welcome. My name is David Edwin, and I'm not alone. The very beautiful Vivian is here with me. Very good morning to you.
Good morning, David, and good morning to the viewers. It's such a pleasure to be here with you this morning.
Oh yeah, I think about the first time we're riding together.
It's going to be a flight, I'm telling you.
Anyways, let's get to it almost immediately. We'll be looking at some very interesting conversation this morning. Some persons are saying that youths, no, Peter Obi, let me be very specific. Presidential candidate of the Labour Party, Peter Obi, has alleged that some persons are paying Nigerian youths 20,000 naira to cause confusion in Nigeria. This will be one of our topics this beautiful morning. And Vivian?
Yes, we're also going to be talking about this one. Police bust human parts syndicates in Ogun and Gombe. This is horrific, David. This is stuff you see in horror movies and not every day-to-day life.
We definitely will dive into it. Absolutely. With our guest analyst being in the studio with us. And of course, you know how we do it this beautiful morning. These are the major topics we'll be looking at. And we also have other interesting trending stories. But before we proceed, we would urge you to click on the subscribe button if you haven't. Yes, subscribe to our YouTube channel. On YouTube, we're at Voice of the People TV, and on all other social media platforms, we are at VOP TV Live. And of course, you can visit our website, take us anywhere in the world with you just by going to our website. And of course, go to Google and click www.vop.ng for fresh and of course trending stories. And you know, we encourage you to have your voice in the conversation this beautiful morning. How best to do that? Your thoughts and reactions on all of the topics we'll be talking about. Just go straight to WhatsApp. Our WhatsApp number is 0904 473 2605. I'll take that again, 0904 473 2605. Because we definitely know that with your reactions and thoughts, we definitely will be having a better conversation. All right, let's get to some interesting trend that happened yesterday. The Chief of Defense Staff, General Christopher Musa, has urged residents of the Southeast to refrain from promoting the activities of the proscribed indigenous people of Biafra, IPOB, and its armed wing, the Eastern Security Network, ESN, especially on social media platforms. Speaking through Group Captain Ibrahim Buka during a community outreach in Umor, Anambra State, General Musa did warn that misinformation and separatist propaganda threaten not only regional stability, but the unity of Nigeria. Well, interestingly, General Musa also emphasized that IPOB's operation undermined national peace and called on citizens to work with security agencies to root out criminal elements masquerading as freedom fighters. Indigenous people of Biafra, IPOB, has fired back at Chief of Defense Staff Christopher Musa, rejecting his recent warning against promoting the group's activities on social media. Well, in a strong worded statement on Friday, IPOB spokesperson Ima Powerful described Musa's remarks as a violation of the group's right to free speech and self-determination, insisting that the movement remains resolute in its request for Biafran independence. Now, this is about a conversation that has been going on for a while, and the Chief of Defense Staff has, clearly urged residents in the Southeast to refrain from promoting the activities of, the indigenous people of Biafra,
which has been proscribed, yeah.
Prescribed, but of course, if you look at it from the viewpoint of the IPOB, you definitely would want to say, okay, maybe they go to court and of course file, however, to take off that name tag as a terrorist group. But my take is there are no wicked activities, let me use that word, going on in the southeast. And as it stands, in the northeast, there is so much killing, so much bombing, and Chief of Defense Staff is not talking to that situation. One would want to wonder, where exactly is he seeing his crystal ball?
His crystal ball. Yeah, I mean, you are a mind reader. You just took that particular phrase out of my mouth. Now, you refer to what's happening in the Northeast. The North Central, talk about the North Central.
Oh, yes.
Plateau State, for example, Bokos, Bassa local government area. Same North Central again, go to Benue State.
I mean, it goes on and on and on. These killings are becoming outrageous. The president did return just a couple of days ago, and we hear that he had a major meeting with the service chiefs. But the part that I'm not getting is it about having these meetings, giving orders to bring to book all of those?
So you're saying walk the talk. Yeah? That's how it should be done now. But let's pick let's take a look at what you said. Very interesting, your introduction to this particular topic. Now, you talked about the Chief of Defense Staff hammering on the use of social media.
Yeah.
To promote the activities of the proscribed IPOB.
IPOB.
Now, you do remember that shortly before he made this comment, the Sultan of Sokoto had said that, look, social media is a terrorist tool. Now, what IPOB is saying is, you guys can't gag us. There must be freedom of speech.
Now, the same social media that the Chief of Defense Staff is talking about is the same social media that some of these bandits front the money they receive from kidnapped victims, and I don't know.
And nobody is tracing anything to who is doing all of this. So it begs the question, really, what is happening? Which is one of the things we're going to be asking our guest analyst, Peter Onosiki, when he comes in shortly, really. What exactly is going on?
Oh, well, again, I want to look at it from the perspective of the fact that the Chief of Defense Staff maybe might have his own position when it comes to all that he's seen. But we'll go on a quick break now. When we return, we'll be talking about some of the trending discussion that are happening around Nigeria. Just stay with us. We will be right back after this quick break. Stay with us. Step into a world where stories unfold, secrets unravel, and dreams come alive. Every story has a legacy. Every legacy holds the power to inspire. A unique interview series that celebrates the lives of Nigeria's elder statesmen and women through their remarkable journeys in the military, diplomacy, public service, academia, medicine, and beyond. Conversation that transcends generations, offering guidance to youth leaders, diplomats, technocrats, and future change makers. We unveil the wisdom, resilience, and achievements that shapes our nation and the world. Join us every Sunday on Voice of the People Television. Reminiscence, legacies that leads the way, stories that lives on. All right, glad to have you back. Well, let's get to another trending conversation. A growing scandal has erupted following the detention of 66-year-old activist Kindness Jonah in Kefi Maximum Security Prison, allegedly orchestrated by federal lawmaker Chinedu Oga using a forged and backdated court order. Now, Jonah, a fierce human rights advocate and convener of Voice from the East, was arrested by a controversial police unit on February 27, 2025, and secretly detained for weeks without trials. Now, family contacts or official documentation, a move critics say weaponizes the Cybercrime Act to crush dissent. Well, investigations revealed a web of irregularities. The remand order was reportedly secured on a Saturday, April the 26th, but backdated to the prior Friday to align with fabricated court proceedings. This came just after the new FCT Police Commissioner ordered Jonah's release upon discovery his frail condition during a surprise facility visit, an order allegedly defied by officials who re-detained him at a new location. The case filed by police prosecutor E.A. Inegunois accuses Jonah of cyber stalking for allegedly calling Honorable Oga an ex-convict and tying him, to a 2012 ritual murder. Interesting times. So I see here not only trying to gag, some persons, but a major bullying on all fronts. I don't know, maybe.
Bullying, that's a heavy word. Why don't you introduce Peter Anosike? So we'll have him weigh in on this.
Well, a very good morning to you, Mr. Peter Anosike. Well, we've been joined in the studio right now with Mr. Peter Anosike, who is Voice of the People TV's in-house political affairs analyst and, yes, an economist at all fronts. Mr. Peter, once again, a very good morning to you.
Thank you for having me.
Well, this is not the conversation proper, but we just had to bring you in just in a couple of seconds. This situation of arrest by, of course, the police, this activist Kindness Jonah in Kefi Maximum Security Prison, allegedly because, of course, he did say that a federal lawmaker did use a particular word that I'm trying to really get right here. He said the lawmaker was an ex-convict. And of course, he tied him to a ritual murder in 2012. And of course, the lawmaker went ahead to arrest him with the police. And somehow, the police got him arrested with a court order that was backdated. It was a Saturday, but they backdated the court order to a Friday. Looking at all of this, what do you make of it basically?
Well, for me, these are two wrongs that will not necessarily make a right. Because does the activist have any proof that the lawmaker committed ritual killing? So it's and I'm sure if you are the lawmaker, you have done what you have done the same thing, because you cannot accuse me of murder and I fold my hands. So does he have evidence of the ritual killing? Because to be an ex-convict means that he has been found guilty by a court of law.
Right, and he was imprisoned before now, yeah. But again, another conversation that props up here is the fact that they brought a court order to remand this activist in prison, a court that was reportedly secured on a Saturday, April 26th, but was backdated to Friday. I mean, what court opens on Saturday?
No, for me, I said these are two wrongs. The activist was wrong, and the lawmaker was also wrong, because court doesn't sit on
Saturday,
weekends.
yes.
On weekends,
So,
and even on ordinary days, court doesn't sit beyond 6 p.m.
So you're saying both parties are wrong, and it is said that two wrongs can make a right.
Cannot make a right.
So what are we talking about? Before we quickly wrap this up now, David talked about, one of them saying that the Cybercrime Act is used to weaponize dissent. What do you think?
For me, don't say what you cannot prove.
All right.
Don't say what you cannot prove.
All right.
Freedom of speech is free, but freedom after speech?
Idi Amin said that.
All right, this is where we have to draw the curtain on this banter segment of the Morning Buzz. We'll have to take a quick break right now. When we return, we'll be looking at what the front pages of the national dailies are saying this beautiful morning. You best want to stay with us. We'll be right back.
Good morning. It's the start of a beautiful day. Or start your day right with a healthy dose of news, fun, and inspiration. Join us on VOP this morning for the latest news, trending topics, and uplifting stories to set your day on the right vibe. From news and current events to lifestyle and entertainment, you are covered.
VOP This Morning, 8 a.m., Monday through Friday.
Step into a world where stories unfold, secrets unravel, and dreams come alive. Every story has a legacy. Every legacy holds the power to inspire. A unique interview series that celebrates the lives of Nigeria's elder statesmen and women through their remarkable journeys in the military, diplomacy, public service, academia, medicine, and beyond. Conversation that transcends generations, offering guidance to youth leaders, diplomats, technocrats, and future change makers. We unveil the wisdom, resilience, and achievements that shapes our nation and the world. Join us every Sunday on Voice of the People Television. Reminiscence, legacies that leads the way, stories that lives on.
The red carpets, awards, the razzmatazz, music, fashion, interviews, and more. Spotlight on Voice of the People Television. Let's feed you with all the juicy stories in the global entertainment space, bringing you the glitz and glamour as it is hot. Stay tuned to Spotlight, 1 p.m. Monday to Friday. Spotlight on VOP TV. Entertainment like never before. Good morning. It's the start of a beautiful day. Or start your day right with a healthy dose of news, fun, and inspiration. Join us on VOP this morning for the latest news, trending topics, and uplifting stories to set your day on the right vibe. From news and current events to lifestyle and entertainment, you are covered.
VOP This Morning, 8 a.m., Monday through Friday.
To know the happenings in the maritime sector, join us on the program Maritime Frontiers on VOP TV as we discuss key areas in the maritime sector from aquaculture, maritime transportation, maritime labor regulation, oil and gas exploration, ferry and
All right, glad to have you back. It is still Morning Buzz right here on Voice of the People Television. Now, we'll go straight to looking at what the front pages of the national dailies are saying this morning in a quick pick. But we have here in the studio, like I said earlier, Mr. Peter Anosike, who is Voice of the People TV's in-house political affairs commentator and, of course, an economist. We have also joining us virtually Barrister Elvis Asia, a public affairs analyst and a social commentator. We have also virtually Mr. Dele Fanimo, who is also Voice of the People TV's in-house analyst and a public affairs analyst, of course, public commentator as well. Gentlemen, a very, very good morning to you again. Barrister, I don't know if you can hear us. A very good morning to you.
Good morning. I can hear you.
All right, amazing. I don't know if Mr. Dele Fanimo also is here with us. Good morning, Mr. Dele. All right, let's move on from there. Well, we'll start off the newspaper right in front of me, the Saturday Times, and well, interesting headlines there. The banner headline here reads, Pope Francis for burial today. Senate President Akpabio leads Nigeria's delegation to funeral. Okay.
What's that? No.
Okay.
Let's pause here, David. You should explain that.
No, it's just me identifying that the Senate President will be going for the burial.
Interestingly, on X yesterday, he was trending, and some Nigerians, netizens actually were saying, why must it be the Senate President who is leading this delegation?
Let's run through the headlines before we continue. Some of the headlines there at the front page of the Saturday Times. Juliet Ibrahim joins Nollywood actors to slam Ghana TV stations over piracy. Above the nameplates there is another headline that reads, worsening insecurity. Women, children killed in Benue. Midnight attack. Okay. Beneath the banner headline, and of course there's a pictorial there where the Senate President, amid leaders of Nigeria delegation having a handshake there. That's the major pictorial there at the front page of the Saturday Times. Beneath that pictorial, you see other headlines that reads, Tribunal updates FCCPC's $220 million fine against Meta and WhatsApp. APC demands justice over alleged murder of Akpabolo's security aide. Defection alliances, realignment, parts of democratic politics. This is coming from Atiku Abubakar. And then the bottom strip there, the headline there, 2027 Okowa's APC move has secured Tinubu's re-election, says Okpebolo. Well, these are the headlines right there at the front page of the Saturday Times. Just one headline. I'm going to come straight to Mr. Peter Anosike. Just one headline. Which would you react to quickly because of our time?
Well, what is funny for me is APC asking for justice. Understand me? So it's just like Boko Haram or ISWAP demanding for justice. So for me, it is funny. Because this is a party that was founded in injustice, now asking for justice.
Oh, that seems like a very strong word there. Now, when you're talking about APC asking for justice, you're referring to the story of the Okpebolo demanding, yes,
sure.
demanding for the justice for the person who murdered the alleged the Okpebolo's aide. Anyways, let's get to another headlines. If you're ready, let's get to it, Vivian. Just quickly, another major headline. Let's get to it.
All right.
A newspaper front page, rather.
Well, let's take a look at the first news. Yeah, and above the masthead, we have this one: inflation, taxes, tariffs, devouring minimum wage. That's coming from the NLC. And just below that, though, we have this one here. And it says that Nigeria's excess crude account holds just 400 actually and $73,000, a far cry from its heyday. Also, we have a midnight horror. Armed herders kill 7, abduct others in fresh Benue attack. We are taking a look at the first news. The front page of the first news is what we are doing. Right beside that one, we have FCCPC hails tribunal for affirming $220 million fine against Facebook and WhatsApp. We also have student loan rush. NEL Fund records 500,000 applications in 11 months. In the middle strip now, this is actually the major headline. poverty pandemic. That's what it says. And Nigeria has more people than China, Indonesia, Vietnam combined. That's coming from Peter Obi. This is one of the stories I would like for you, Peter, to delve into a little bit before we wrap this up. There's one rider to that particular story. Showumi counters, and he says, stop demarketing Nigeria on global stage. This actually trended on X yesterday. Showumi, by the way, is a PDP chieftain. We also have below that, we are going below the middle strip now, PDP imploding, 40 lawmakers to Gov's plot defection. Ugo Chinyere demands Wike's expulsion and Damagun's sack. We also have this one, court grants interim forfeiture of 73 assets linked to Chinese suspect. We have also, beside this one here, let's see now, let's take a look. It's the last headline on the front page of the First News. It says, court remands musician Terry Akpala for alleged Naira abuse. So Peter, would you talk a little bit about poverty pandemic? This was Peter Obi outside the shores of Nigeria. And then he actually said Nigeria has more people than China.
More poor people.
More poor people, I beg your pardon. More poor people than China, Indonesia, Vietnam combined. Now, Showumi is saying, the PDP chieftain is saying, please stop demarketing Nigeria on a global stage. What's your take to this?
Well, for me, there's nothing like demarketing Nigeria. What Peter Obi said is the truth. Buhari went to UK and told them that Nigerians are fantastically corrupt. Understand me? That's what Buhari said in UK. Tinubu went to UAE and told them, if any of my ministers demand bribe from you, let me know.
That's an indication that the ministers definitely might demand bribe, and of course, if he's not saying that, that wouldn't even strike any chord in the head of any investor.
Yes.
Oh well, because of our time, really, Mr. Peter, I really do apologize. Let's just take one more paper, and we'll be wrapping up the newspaper review. We'll be looking at the Guardian newspaper, front page of the Guardian newspaper, where the banner headline here reads, Tinubu, world leaders bid Pope Francis farewell today. Above the nameplates there are other headlines that reads, World IP Day 2025, Intellectual Property and Music, a Living Partnership. Special features and of course, okay, another headline there. Boundary dispute ignites killing, violence among Oyo communities. These are the headlines. Beneath the major headline on that particular front page, alleged defilement. Ogun drops charges against school proprietor Adelaja. Ibas appears before Reps Committee, says Rivers still fragile. Interesting. Fawemi property, Falano, Arogundade, others decry safety threats as developer ignores setback laws. And then the bottom strip there, Dangote, Lumelu, Jimo, Nigeria's real brand ambassadors. You want to read up on all of that right there at the front page of the Guardian newspaper. That's about where we have to put a close on the newspaper review this beautiful morning. Now let's get into the major conversation. Interestingly, Peter Gregory Obi did allege that people pay the Nigerian youths 20,000 naira to cause confusion in Nigeria. We'll be looking at these and more with the analysts already with us after this break. Do stay with us. All right, welcome back. Now let's get into the major conversation this morning. Labour Party's 2023 presidential candidate Peter Gregory Obi has decried a growing trend of exploiting Nigerian youths for political mischief, alleging that youths are paid as little as 20,000 naira to sow discord and spread misinformation. Speaking at Johns Hopkins University in the United States, Obi expressed concerns that many young Nigerians, instead of lending and leading the charge for positive change, are being manipulated to attack those genuinely advocating for their future. Obi, who delivered a lecture on politics and change in Nigeria, warned that the country's political space has been poisoned by transactional tactics where disinformation is funded and exemplified and amplified by vested interest. He lamented that these tactics target well-meaning individuals and ideas, with the youth's Nigeria's most potent demographic being used and misused as tools of destruction rather than drivers of transformation. Well, we still have joining us right here to analyze and make sense of this particular topic. In the studio with us is Mr. Peter Anosike, who I told you earlier is Voice of the People TV's in-house political affairs analyst and, of course, an economics and all front. And we have joining us virtually Barrister Elvis Asia, a public affairs analyst and a social commentator. Also joining us virtually is Mr. Dele Fanimo, who is also VOP TV's in-house political affairs analyst and, yes, a seasoned reporter. Yes, I don't want to miss that because he's going to come for me. Anyways, a very good morning to you, gentlemen, for joining us. Thank you so much for joining us this morning.
Good morning.
All right, I'm going to start with you, Barrister. First off, what's your take on the position of Mr. Peter Obi, particularly him saying that quite a number of Nigerian youths are being used and, of course, to spread misinformation, 20,000 naira, that meager, to sow discord and spread misinformation. What's your take on that particular statement of Mr. Peter Obi? Barrister.
I think the point Mr. Obi is making is that poverty has been weaponized in the country. I think you don't need any. It's clear that is the truth. And he pegged it at 20,000. I'm very sure that people are even paid less.
Oh, really?
To cause disinformation in the country. Don't forget. I'll give you some examples. During the last protest in the country, you saw counter protests by people who were allegedly paid, even 1,000, 2,000 naira to do counter protests in the country. We during the allegations of harassment against the you saw all the protests in Abuja by people who, thought those were paid agents, and they are giving false information about what the people think, about what the people feel. And the worst part of it now is that online, on social media, we have so many paid agents on social media who attacks, people who tries to, give information that would assist Nigerians to assess the current administration. And so this is really not something that should be surprising. It's what is happening.
Okay.
And it's really very sad because what happens is that people are not able to really properly assess the situation in the country, even though everybody is feeling the pangs of the current realities, economically, politically, security, everything, and so it's really sad because it's affecting a very political system that can bring in the requisite opposition that is needed to balance any political system.
Okay.
And so Mr. Peter Obi is very, very correct.
All right. Now again, I still want to stay with you. You did recall while we're running through the front pages of the national dailies, particularly of First News, he was also quoted as saying that Nigeria has more poor people than China, Indonesia, and Vietnam combined. Now, is this an indication of the political elites practically weaponizing poverty by, you know, paying these young Nigerians as low as 20,000 naira. I mean, let's even face it. What can 20,000 naira do for you at a time like this? Because as it stands, a lot of persons clearly knows for a fact that 20,000 naira is not even feasible to do or buy something meaningful for any individual. Is this a way of weaponizing poverty, particularly on the path of the young Nigerians who are supposed to even know better than these political elites that are giving them this amount?
I mean, it's clearly what it is. Poverty has been weaponized. But I must say that I'm not in a position right now to confirm the statement by Mr. Peter Obi in terms of the number, in terms of the volume, because he mentioned China, Vietnam, a few other countries.
Yeah.
I don't know if you put it together whether it's Nigeria, the poor in Nigeria with more than those combined countries. But what I know is that poverty is a big issue in the country. It's increasing by the day. This administration has pushed more people into poverty than we've ever seen in the history of this country. Because today, you know, it's practically impossible for people to, you know, eat, for people to feed. The, you know, economic dynamics in terms of what was required to eat a meal in 2 years ago, 3 years ago, you need almost times 5 of that now, and it's difficult for people to get it. So more people are in poverty, and the politicians and those who, with due respect, do not actually mean well for the country but for their pocket, have weaponized this. And so we see it in elections. We see how they distribute even little cash. You know, I mentioned the fact that even the 20,000 naira Mr. Peter Obi said is very generous. We have seen situations where people collect far less, you know, because they are really poor. We see it in elections. We see it in fictitious protests to support people in power. We see it online with so many online people that are being deployed by those who want to send the wrong information out there. Poverty has been weaponized because, I mean, a man who is hungry, I don't see how you don't want to, rationality will be far from such a man.
Oh, well, quite interesting. Well, I would like to urge you to stay with us on this, but I'm going to go straight to Mr. Dele Fanimo at this point. Mr. Fanimo, you've heard Mr. Peter Obi, and of course, analyzing this as huge as it can, it's quite an interesting conversation, really, because Nigeria, a country of over 250 million people, being not so rich when it comes to the young people being utilized, basically, and of course being misused, as he did say. What's your position about his statement? And then again, do you see the Nigerian young people coming out of these doldrums anytime soon? Because it's more like their minds are being wired towards what they will get as meager as 20,000. Please unmute yourself, Mr. Delifani. You can unmute yourself for us to hear you.
Okay, sorry. Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can. Go ahead.
Yeah. Bob Marley, in one of his songs, said, "Emancipate yourself from mental slavery. No one but ourselves can free our minds." You see, the poverty we are talking about here is multidimensional. And it's not just lack of want, but it also involves no to certain things that may be profitable in the short run, but with debilitating effect in the long run. Because I imagine, I was trying to break down this kind of tokenism, palliative, whatever name you want to call it, to our youth. And I ask, if somebody is giving you 20,000 for a cycle of election, and when you break 20,000 naira down, you have 5,000 naira for each year. Then you break 5,000 naira to 12 months, obviously you are talking of about maybe 750 per month.
Right.
Then per day, you are talking of how much? 5 naira. So what that technically means is that for the 4 years, on top of your future, on top of your life, you are being paid 25 naira daily. If we begin to educate our youngsters, placed by those, like the barrister said, then you now begin to think out of the box and ask yourself, in a construction site today, just lifting sand or cement or anything from earn between 3,000 to 5,000 naira a day. Now, I would have thought that will now imagine that, okay, if I go maybe 5 days a week and take the other 2 days to rest, that means I have 15,000 naira. And in 2 months, in 2 weeks, I'll be earning more my life for a period of 4 years. That's one. Then two, to what extent are these youths being empowered? They deliberately bring them to that level, and sometimes active collaboration of these youths, because they know that if you empower somebody, the hold you have on that person will be limited. And so because they know that they need these foot soldiers at every point in time, either use as thugs, either to use to manipulate the society, or even impose terror on the populace, then you ask yourself, is it really worth it? I think for us to be able to get out of this logjam, we need a lot of advocacies, and we need to engage of along with these people, because you ask yourself, these people, a video early in the week, and I saw MC Oluomo countering those who says he couldn't speak impeccable English. But he said, look, English language is not my father's or my mother's language, but then I have invested heavily in my children. None of you can compete with my children. They are in the best schools, they attended the best schools, Ivy League University, and all that. Now, when you now look at that, you now ask yourself, if somebody of MC Oluomo's background knew that he couldn't allow his own children to tow his own path, why would youth now be engaged by the likes of MC Oluomo to do those jobs and not engaging their children to follow suit?
Big question there, really. And again, we want to just say, you stay with us, so we definitely will come to you again. I'm going to bring it to the studio right now. Mr. Peter, a lot of conversation have been thrown at, a lot of the political elites in Nigeria. Now, we're going to start off from the fact that you would recall that the World Bank did brought out a statement a couple of days ago, and they said that more Nigerians will become poor by 2027. In fact, there's a particular figure that they brought up, but I'm not going to dwell on that. I'm going to dwell on the fact that the young people of Nigeria seem to not understand the fact that, just like Mr. Fani Modid analyzed, the Migro 5 naira a day, because that's what it translates in 4 years for 20,000 naira. Migro 5 naira would not even do you any good. So, first off, what's your position on the path of Mr. Peter Obi? He's also a politician, just like some quarters have said that he also did give some figures when he was in power under the PDP at the time. But should Nigerians not know better at this time?
Well, in 2023, I went for a youth conference.
Right.
That's a Christ Holy Church youth conference. Okay. It was about 5,000 youths. So when I was asked that to speak, the first thing that I asked them, how many times do you say no in a day? They were confused. I said, how many times do you say no in a day? Because your ability to succeed on air depends on how many times you say no. Understand me? And for you to succeed, you must be saying 90% no and only 10% yes.
Yeah, but why is that? Why?
That's the key to success. The ability to say no.
Is it everything you say no to?
I say 90% no and only 10% yes.
Yeah, so for example, someone needs help and you can help the person, you say no?
Vivian, I said 90%, you must be saying that for you to succeed on earth, you must be saying more no than yes.
Okay.
And that's why these youths are falling victim of these politicians. They don't have that ability of saying no.
Okay.
Because when you throw something at me, I say no. It means that I'm going to work for myself to get that thing.
So, sorry to cut you short. Would that be the lack of not having enough to feed or to fend for themselves that would want to make them say yes at all times? Would that be the reason why they consistently say yes?
A happy man is somebody who is contented. Understand?
Okay.
So even in poverty, most of the time, is a state of the mind. Understand? So when you say, I will not take this, what you have raised yourself, you have gotten respect. Understand me? Even though that man may insult you, but in his mind, he knows that you have a vision, you have a future. So, but when you begin to say yes, 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 you are going down. So the problem with the youth is they don't have that ability of saying no. And that's whatever comes. P2B said 20,000 naira because I know that he should have been specific. APC is paying people 20,000 naira to go on X, to be calling on radio stations. So that's where that figure came from. APC is paying some youth 20,000 naira every month to be calling on radio stations, to be abusing people on X. Understand? And they are taking this money, which cannot solve any problem for them because why? They don't have that capacity to say no.
This statement you just made, is it based on facts or speculation?
I know them.
You know these youths that have
I know many of them that call into radio stations. I know many of them that call into radio stations. APC give them 20,000 naira to buy data every month.
That's a huge one. But again, my question now would be, these young people who are taking these particular figures, is there no possibility?
And they're selling their future.
That's where I'm going. Is there no possibility that they are very aware of the fact that these same political elites do not have their interests at heart, rather than just give them that figure to get into office and do what they want to do at the time?
That's their inability to be saying no. Understand? Because they know that these politicians don't mean well for them. Understand? He should have asked, they should have been asking themselves, where are the children of these people that are giving them this money? Their children are in the best schools abroad. Understand? Then they cannot give you a good job. Right. All they are doing is giving you 20,000 naira, which cannot even solve half of your problems.
Okay. We definitely will get into this conversation. I've been instructed by the producer of the show to get back to a particular story that we did have a couple of minutes ago. And of course, it has to do with the growing scandal that erupted in the Kefi Maximum Prison. Barrister, I'm going to come to you on this. Allegedly, a growing scandal did erupt following the detention of a 96-year-old activist, Kindness Jonah, in Kefi Maximum Security Prison. Barrister, I hope you're a bit familiar with this story. Well, of course, allegedly it's been orchestrated by federal lawmaker Chinedu Oga using a forged and backdated court order. Now, Jonah, a fierce human rights activist and convener of Voice from the East, was arrested by a controversial police unit on February the 27th, 2025, and secretly detained for weeks without trial. Now, his family contacted an official documentation, and it just went on and on. The critics have come out to say that this is about weaponizing the Cybercrime Act to crush dissent. Well, investigation revealed a web of irregularities, one of which is the remand order that was reportedly secured on a Saturday, April the 26th, but backdated to the prior day, that's a Friday, to align with the fabricated court proceedings. Let me allow you have your say on this. As it stands, backdating a court order, first off, isn't that a crime on its own?
Well, of course, if it is established that a court order was actually backdated, that will be a serious crime, because it simply means that you are interfering with administration of justice, which I believe is a crime in many of our criminal legislations. Beyond that, I had written in the past about the abuse of the remand process. How even magistrates, either intentionally or unintentionally, aid the police in these brazen abuse of the Constitution using the remand process. And this case has, further, brought to light this particular challenge. It's a very big problem in the country. What people do today is that they pay the police, arrest somebody, they want to deal with someone, they arrest the person, like in this particular case, which is what may likely have happened, and they pay the police to go and obtain remand orders. And the moment that order is obtained, the person is kept in detention without trial, and that goes on and on. And it's a really very, very sad situation that we need to really look at if we want to have a country where there's rule of law. Because what it simply means is that the law, even though we have laws, we have police institution and all of that, we are back to the state of the Obesian state of nature. Where might is right. Those who have the purse, those who have the financial muscle, those who have the connections are able to secure remands just to deal with their perceived enemies. And if you look at this case, I looked at the charges that they said were filed at the Federal High Court. They claim that, the guy is guilty of cyber stalking. And, go and look at the meaning of cyber stalking. And you see that the charge, the way it is framed, does not support, the whole concept of cyber stalking. And I think the Nigeria police force are still, stuck in the past. They are deliberately choosing to continue to do what has been corrected in the Cybercrime Act. Because, defamation, silly speaking now, has to, there's an angle to it that has changed in the law, right? If you say somebody is doing cyber stalking, it means that you are saying that the person is using the computer, using the internet to threaten somebody, that's the idea. But if somebody makes a false information, gives a false information about you, that is not cyber stalking. That is something you should go and deal with, in the civil process for defamation and whatever it is. So unfortunately, we have a situation where, the Cybercrime Act, even though some amendments have been made to make it align with the constitutional, guaranteed rights and fundamental rights, the police, because of their pecuniary interests, because look, we deal with these institutions on a daily basis, and I can tell you for free that these institutions, they're not interested in enforcing the law. They're interested in what they can get from the process. And because of these, financial inducement, which is the underlying reason for all these actions, you see this abuse of the remand process, abuse of the Cybercrime Act.
I wanted to find out, you said these institutions, which of the institutions are you referring to? The police or the military? Which of them?
The police, essentially. The police and other security agencies.
Okay.
Right? They abuse this process. And I had written an article in the past where I explained how magistrates, talking about the judiciary now, aid them in this process. Now, if you look at our legislations, when an application is brought for remand, the magistrate actually has the power to look at it to see whether there's a reasonable cause. The magistrate has the power to grant bail.
Okay.
But all they just do is they take it as if it's an administrative process where the police just brings fictitious allegation, and then they say, oh, you are remanded for 28 days, you are remanded for 30 days, you are remanded for 14 days. Meanwhile, the law allows the magistrate to examine the papers submitted to see whether or not there's a prima facie case established, and then to grant bail in where the law allows bail to be granted, unless it's a capital offense. For an offense like this, for example, in the case of Jonah, you are talking about cyber stalking. This is a bailable offense. If indeed he was taken before a magistrate, the magistrate should have granted bail. What are you investigating that requires remand? If you say somebody has made a false allegation or is doing
Oh, well, interestingly, I had to cut you there, Barrister, because we have so much to talk about. But I'm going to come to you later. But then again, let me go straight to Mr. Dele Fanimo. Again, I've been instructed by the producer to come back to this story. Now, the Chief of Defense Staff, General Christopher Musa, has urged residents of the Southeast to refrain from promoting the activities of the proscribed indigenous people of Biafra and its armed wing. Now, that's the Eastern Security Network, ESN, especially, quote me, on social media platforms. Speaking through Group Captain Ibrahim Buka during a community outreach in Omor, Anambra State, General Musa warned that misinformation and separatist propaganda threaten not only regional stability, but the unity of Nigeria. Now, Mr. Dele Fanimo, I'm going to come to you on this. Chief of Defense Staff is really talking, and at this time, a lot of quarters have said, okay, if you say that the people of the Southeast and young people of the Southeast as well should not be promoting the activities of IPOB and, of course, the ESN through social media, what then happens to the bandits that brandish cash that they've gotten from returns of kidnap? That, of course, we see all of these on social media. What then happens to several of these other guys that go on social media and, of course, brandish whatever they have? Isn't this a selective act of you trying to maybe secure a particular region than the other? Mr. Dele Fanimo, your opinion? Please unmute yourself, please. Mr. Fanimo, we can't still hear you. If you can't, please unmute your mic.
Yes, I can. I've just unmuted. Please, can I?
Yes, we can hear you now. We can hear you now. Go ahead.
The last thread of your question.
Now, my question, the last thread is, isn't this some level of selective security information rather than, of course, taking it holistically? Because we see a lot of insecurity happening in several parts of the Northeast and, of course, North Central, as it were.
You mean on these rituals and all that?
I'm talking about the Chief of Defense Staff telling the residents of the Southeast to refrain from promoting the proscribed indigenous people of Biafra and, of course, the armed wing, that's the Eastern Security Network, especially on social media. General Danjuma Christopher Musa did say that the people of the Southeast should stop promoting the activities of IPOB and, of course, ESN on social media. And, of course, you would recall that we've seen several of all the bandits and all brandishing themselves on social media. What say you on all of this statement, Mr. Dele Fanimo?
Stature of CDS, Chief of Defense Staff, who is a notch higher than the service chiefs, is a coordinating security head in Nigeria today. Today, apart from the National Security Advisor, who is just a politician in that office, the highest ranking officer in the armed forces today, apart from the ceremonial commander-in-chief of the president, is the CDS. So ordinarily, I would have expected that the man would be talking from holistic point of view and the fact that he should be looking at Nigeria as a country, not being selective. And this is not going to be the first time they will play to this. What is the fraction of the level of insecurity in the southeast compared to what has been happening in the northwest and in the northeast? Several local governments have been taken over by non-state actors in the northeast and northwest. Yeah, violence in the southwest. The only zone that is a little bit calm today, relatively, is not as if it's total, but relatively, is the south-south, particularly Akwa Ibom, Cross River, Bayelsa, but we still have pockets of attacks in the south. I mean, in Edo State, for instance, and part of Delta State. I would have expected that the man would be talking about how to reduce insecurity rather than profiling a particular group. Right. For me, IPOB had reinvented itself in the last 6 months or thereabouts, because they have come out strongly to condemn what is condemnable, and they have also been constructive in their engagement with state actors across the country. So how would you now begin to single out? And social media is a place where there is liberty to vent, there is liberty to express personal opinion and private good opinion. So for me, IPOB has reinvented itself to the extent that it shouldn't be labeled as a terrorist group, to the extent that the group is being profiled as such.
All right.
So the statement of the CDS, as far as I'm concerned, is unwarranted.
All right.
Then ESN.
Dele, thank you so much. Let me bring it back here to Peter in-house. Earlier on we had talked about this a little bit, that shortly before the CDS made this particular comment, the Sultan actually had said that social media is a terrorist tool. Do you see censorship brewing where freedom of speech will be, where there will be gagging and all of that? That's what the IPOB just said, that they're trying to gag them, trying to stop them from expressing their minds, really. What's your take?
Well, ISIS is on X. ISIS is on X, and Musk has not removed them, even though the whole world declared them a terrorist organization. But the social media is a platform for everybody. This is 2025 and not 1970. So we should be mindful of what we are trying to do. And social media has come to stay. Nobody can stop it.
All right.
Now, as it stands, Mr. Peter, again, a lot of persons have said that holistically, the CDS should be talking insecurity and how to curb it to the barest minimum. You would recall several kidnaps, deaths, and all of that by bandits. And we've seen severally bandits brandishing the funds they've received from kidnapped victims, and nobody's talking about it. From your position, some quarters have said that this looks like you trying to cage a particular section of the country from really expressing themselves, but you're not doing the same on the other side of the coin. Do you share this opinion? And then if yes, what can be done right on the part of the CDS?
Before coming to this station, I watched a video of a Fulani girl shooting a AK-47. She's not up to 18. But imagine if it's a Southeasterner that they saw with AK-47. They would have done everything to get all the person arrested. So this is a country of Animal Farm. That's a George Orwell's Animal Farm, where some animals are more equal than the others. But for me, we have an incompetent service chiefs. Understand me? because the National Security Advisor was in Benue on Monday,
Right.
where he said that Tinubu inherited a terrible administration with regard to security. He was there on Monday, see what happened in the same Benue yesterday. This shows you that they don't have answer to anything. And when you don't have answer to anything, you begin that to create distractions.
So you think this is a distraction?
It's distractions. Because Southeast has no business coming to his mind as we speak.
And now that's the major question, because a lot of persons have said in the Southeast there's not been killings like, I mean, you usually hear. In fact, Mr. Delifanimo just said a couple of minutes ago that IPOB have practically branded itself and have been vocal against some kind of killings and all of the nefarious acts in the Southeast. So why talk about the Southeast?
Excuse me, have you ever heard that a community was taken in the Southeast?
Big question there, really.
Have you ever heard that a community was taken that's in the Southeast?
But we see that happening in the South, the Northeast,
More than
North Central,
200
and all.
communities have been taken in Plateau State. The same thing in Benue State. The same thing in Borno State. See what's happening in Niger and Kwara State.
All right, so can I ask then, so the retired General Danjuma is saying Nigerians begin to defend yourself. But some people are saying if you do that, then Nigeria is going to slide into anarchy. Do you think it was right for Danjuma to say so?
For me, we've not gotten to that stage because there's a study that showed that out of every 4 Nigerians, 1 has a mental problem, which means we have 50 million mad people in the country. Understand? There's a study that says, so imagine if these people should have access to firing. That's so for me, I will not encourage it. But I'm saying that the Fulani herdsmen must be disarmed.
Okay.
That's my position. The Fulani herdsmen must be disarmed because they shouldn't be walking about with AK-47, and when they see me with a cutlass, or they will arrest me. It doesn't make any meaning.
All right, now we're going to just wrap up this conversation, but I'm still going to stay with you, Mr. Peter Anosike. Again, like I did mention earlier, the North Central have been bedeviled with so much insecurity. And you would recall that the NSA did say that some persons have infiltrated the security system and are selling arms meant for the military. And as it stands, would you say that the security outfits of Nigeria, both the army, the police, and all of them, they've been overstressed? Is that a possibility that they've been overstressed in any way with so much insecurity happening across the land?
One, we know right from time that police do supply arms to armed robbers. If you remember the case of Lawrence Anini in the 90s, Lawrence Anini was executed with one DSP, Iyamu, who was giving them guns. So this has been happening before, and it will continue to happen. But the NSA shouldn't use it as an excuse. You are not appointed as a leader to give excuses. You are appointed to solve problems. And when you cannot solve problems, you resign from that position. So what the NSA is doing, what the CDS is doing, is just giving advertising their incompetencies. Because we have seen that they don't have answers to the insecurity that is ravaging this country. If you watch the number of people that have been killed in the last 10 days in the country, that same number has not been killed in Ukraine, where or they have outright war. Understand?
Right.
So they shouldn't be giving excuses. They should be finding solutions to this problem.
Oh, well. Vivian?
All right. Very well said, Peter, as usual. It's still the morning buzz. Shortly, we'll be talking about the police busting human parts syndicates in Ogun and Gombe. We'll discuss this after the short break. Stay with us.
Step into a world where stories unfolds, secrets unravel, and dreams come alive. Every story has a legacy. Every legacy holds the power to inspire. A unique interview series that celebrates the lives of Nigeria's elder statesmen and women through their remarkable journeys in the military, diplomacy, public service, academia, medicine, and beyond. Conversation that transcends generations, offering guidance to youth leaders, diplomats, technocrats, and future change makers. We unveil the wisdom, resilience, and achievements that shapes our nation and the world. Join us every Sunday on Voice of the People Television. Reminiscence, legacies that leads the way, stories that lives on.
Welcome back. It's the Morning Buzz right here on VOP TV. I am Vivian, and of course, I got my co-host, David, right beside me. So, police operatives in Ogun and Gombe states have uncovered 2 shocking cases of ritual killings involving the possession and trade of human parts. In Abeokuta, 3 suspects, Sunday Akintobi, Oladimeji Olaniran, and Isaiah Tijani were arrested by SWAT officers following credible intelligence. A search of their residences, including a fake cherubim and seraphim church in Kubakpe, led to the recovery of suspected human remains, including cerebral bones. The State Police Commissioner has ordered a thorough investigation by the SCID to determine the full scope of their involvement. Meanwhile, in Gombe, 8 men were paraded for the abduction and ritual murder of a 6-year-old boy, Mohammed Bulama. Police say the suspects, among them native doctors, a facilitator, and the child's own father, currently at large, confessed to killing the boy for money rituals. The gruesome act included dismemberment and disposal of body parts, with several suspects admitting to harvesting human flesh for occult purposes. Authorities in both states have urged the public to assist in flushing out criminal elements by reporting suspicious activities. They emphasized that community cooperation is vital in ending the menace of ritual killings and restoring public safety. Now, let me start with you, Peter, before I move to Dele and the barrister. This is beyond horrific. Now, like I mentioned to David earlier on, stuff like this is what you see in horror movies, but it is playing out in Nigeria now. How did we get to this? How did this society degenerate to this kind of level?
Well, for me, I can say that it is an hallucination.
What's that again?
Understand? Because there's no way you can use a human parts and make money. There's no way you can use human parts and make money. I used to joke with people and say, okay, if you use a Nigerian and he's vomiting money for you, what if you use an American? Understand me?
Okay.
If a Nigerian is vomiting a naira for you, it means that an American will be vomiting
dollars.
Then you now go for a Briton who will be vomiting pounds. So for me, all this lack of
enlightenment?
I would say evolution.
Aha.
Understand me? Because those things they don't really work. It is native doctors that are manipulating people's brain.
Okay.
It is native doctors that is manipulating people's brain just to be making money for themselves. Okay, now in the now, white men are stealing technologies everywhere. Understand?
Yeah.
They will come to Nigeria. They will see our artwork. They will carry it over to their country. Why haven't they carried our native doctors?
That's $1 million question. I'd like to pick the brains of Barrister a little bit before I'll have a David come into this matter. Now, Barrister, even though Peter here has made light of this issue, he's saying that if Nigerians are going to vomit naira, then Americans will vomit what's it called, dollars, and the Brits will vomit pounds. But let's take a look at what he said, that it is hallucination and that there is nothing like ritual killing to make money. Before you talk about, the kind of fine that must be brought, the kind of penalties that must be brought on people who are involved in ritual killings, I'd like for you to tell me, do you believe there's such a thing as ritual killings for money making?
Well, I think is the question of whether or not I believe is really material here. Of course, I don't believe that you are going to make money by killing somebody else. But what I do believe is that what we call ritual killing is actually very possible. That there are syndicates that are dealing in organ, organ trafficking and harvesting.
Yeah.
And they are masquerading as ritual killers and all of that. So I want to believe that that is what really playing out, because even the native doctors that are allegedly conducting these rituals and whatever it is, they are poor. And so if it was possible for them to spiritually orchestrate money, I'm sure they wouldn't need these people to pay them to even do the so-called ceremony that will give them the money. I don't want to believe that this is true, but what I do know, like I said, is that there's a possibility of organ trafficking and harvesting ring across the country. And there's also the possibility, and then there's also the issue of the weaponization of being rich, money. Today, everywhere you go, money is the only thing that we talk about. Is it in your churches? Is it in your, the palaces of our traditional rulers? Is it in the mosque? Is it in everywhere you go to? People worship money. People talk about money. And so the craze to make money today is so ferocious that perhaps the kind of crime we're going to be seeing, I don't want to be a prophet of doom, the kind of crime we're going to be seeing in the next few years in an attempt by people to make money will be worse than what we have ever seen or thought about.
Okay.
Today, our young girls are online, they are on Telegram, selling themselves, doing all sort of... You see, it is because the society has made money the focal point. There's no society that will develop where the only goal of everybody is just to make money. And so in an attempt to make money, we do all sorts of things. And these are, grievous capital offenses. When you kill somebody, when you do organ transplant, these are capital offenses that attract, life imprisonment, that attract death.
Which is what I want to find out. You talked about capital punishment and it attracts death. But have you had people, are they presidents to this? Have you had cases where people have been prosecuted and actually found guilty and have had the hammer brought down on them in Nigeria in cases of ritual killings like this?
Of course, as a lawyer, I've seen precedent cases decided up to the Supreme Court. Involving ritual killing related issues where people were actually sentenced and by the courts. It happens, but the other thing is that we are not doing enough. The prosecution that we have in the country, police and other people who are involved in prosecuting offenders usually make a lot of mistakes. And again, it also comes down to this issue of money. Those who have, there are powerful influences, there are powerful people in this country who are behind these ritual killings, and they also influence the process. And once the prosecution has made a mistake, the chances of conviction becomes very, very, very difficult. And then, even our ability to investigate this crime, it's happening on a very massive scale. We only hear of a few instances where people are arrested. So we're not doing enough in terms of investigation, in terms of preventing the occurrence of the crime, and then in terms of prosecution, we're not doing enough, because it's not enough to just arrest people. You need to bring evidence. You need to establish the case, and in most cases, the police and other security agencies fail to do so, and in many of the cases, people are left off the hook, even though they may have been involved in something like this.
Right.
And so we need to really do much more, and then we need to make sure that we do not allow people to be flaunting money the way we are seeing it. When people say money and water, they are on social media spraying dollars and whatever. You are actually killing the country. You are telling young people that the only thing that matters is money. It doesn't matter how you make it.
All right,
Look
now,
at the Yahoo business, for example.
We'll be coming to you in a bit, but I want to go to Mr. Dele Fadimo at this point. A lot of persons have said that Nigeria is a country that has so much young people, and one of the major problems of the country is the fact that they're not enlightened enough. First off, the barrister did say that there should be some level of education on the path of the citizens. Now, where I'm going to with all of this, the governor of Niger State did say this week that's ended today that arrests should be made on any young person or persons with dreadlock on his head. Now, that alone is telling the kind of society and the kind of leadership that we have in the country. I'm sorry to say, that's my position anyways. But in the case of organ harvesting, Mr. Fanimo, my question to you is this: has there been enough enlightenment to the people to understand that this is wrong, and should also speak out when they have to be encountered by people who ask for these kind of things in the country? That's my question. Mr. Fanimo. Okay. Well, I'm going to come to the studio, Mr. Peter Anosike. I understand you heard my question. Should there be more to be done by both local, states, and federal government when it comes to education about these kind of conversations?
Well, a lot more really needs to be done, because most Nigerians don't have all the right information. And when you don't have all the right information, you are bound to make mistakes. As I said earlier, the native doctors are manipulating the mind of the people. Because I read somewhere in the same Ogun State where somebody took his father to a native doctor for money ritual, which means some people believe in this.
Right.
Understand? That you can use somebody and make money. Understand? So we need a kind of an advocacy that will let the people know that this is not true, it does not work. Understand me? And the so-called these Yahoo boys, a lot of them are armed robbers, kidnappers. The money that they are throwing about does not come from this their ritual killing. Understand me?
Right.
They will make money through robbery, through kidnapping, and now say that it is it comes from the
ritual they make.
Ritual. But I know that this organ harvesting is becoming more and more, and that's why when you see some people dead, some parts of their body will be missing. Mortuaries, it is happening. Understand? But those people involved are selling it.
Unfortunately,
they are not that they are turning it into money. Understand me?
Right.
They are selling those parts to those who need it.
Wow.
Okay.
So it's become a lucrative business, sort of.
Quite unfortunate.
Yeah, David, before you comment,
Yes.
Dele, I would like to ask Dele, actually, pick his brains a little bit. You do know that the Deputy Senate President,
Ekerimadu.
former Deputy Senate President, Ike Ekweremadu, who is 7th term in
UK.
the UK right now, regarding organ harvesting, really, he's been cooling his feet in the prison right there. His wife was released not too long ago. So why I'm saying this is because this happened within the shortest time. The case came up, it was prosecuted, and people were sent to prison. Now, the barrister, Dele, if you're listening, just said that in Nigeria, things are not done this way, that they are not doing enough, that people, when it comes to prosecution, there are lots of mistakes, and then that people who are influential and affluent actually manipulate this, the judiciary. So what's your take, really, on this particular matter? What can be done? Dele, if you can hear me.
Where there is no consequence for action, the progress of that society will be stunted, and it will continue to get worse. You see, talking about Ekweremadu. Ekwerimadu's own case is all similar to that of Osh Poppy, that of James Ibori, the former Delta State governor. Yeah. You see, cases are won and lost at the point of contact with security agents. Where there is rule of law, where there is a working judicial system, a case of ritual killing, which is murder, it shouldn't take much time, because at the level of investigation and interrogation, if a prima facie case is established, it shouldn't take long for the judiciary to go through the process and give verdicts. But unfortunately here, the laws are made for the poor, and the rich also use the law against the poor. So it's a case of double jeopardy. Why Ekweremadu pleaded guilty is the fact that the more you take the process of the law, even when you know that you are guilty, you allow the court to go through the whole process. The feeling is that you are making the UK government to spend hard-earned money of citizens prosecuting a case that you know that you are guilty. So the longer you stay on that case, the lengthier your sentence. And that's why go to any of these countries, lawyers advise their client to admit guilt so that the sentence can be reduced. But coming to Nigeria, you don't have such cases. Yahoo boys are prosecuted within 3 weeks, 4 weeks, you get conviction. But a Yahoo boy, I've not seen a Yahoo boy that has or had been prosecuted to have made 500 billion naira, or its equivalent in hard currency. But we have seen our compatriots that have been accused of stealing over 500 billion, and the cases are still there 9, 10, 15 years after. In fact, some cases are suspended if that person finds himself in the right political camp, until when he begins to forget that he has a case and begins to misbehave. That's when that case will be revived.
Okay.
So technically, we need to strengthen our judiciary to ensure that if you commit a crime, you get the sentence.
All right, that sounds like a good place to anchor this particular conversation. And because of our time, we'll have to really anchor this conversation. But we will be taking a very short break now. When we return, we'll be going straight to trends this morning. And of course, you know how we do. We still have our analysts to do justice with us on that in a couple of seconds. We just urge you to stay with us. We're going on a quick break right now. When we return, trends this morning will be up next. Stay with us. Glad to have you back. It is still the morning buzz, and straight up, we're going to trends this morning. Well, social media was left in shock after a popular TikToker known as Disturbing, widely recognized for his vocal role in the Justice of Mohbad movement, tragically died during a live broadcast. A viral video shows the content creator suffering a sudden seizure like episodes before collapsing on camera, prompting an outpouring of disbelief and grief across platforms. The heartbreaking footage was shared by investigative journalist Temilola Shobola, who confirmed that the incident occurred just hours before his post. Moments before the tragedy, Disturbing had reportedly been vocally criticized in the individuals connected to the late singer Mohbad's case, including the artist's family members, drawing mixed reactions online, though the exact cause of his death remains unconfirmed. Speculations point to possible substance abuse or heart attack. Disturbing's untimely death has reignited conversations around mental health, online activism, and the dangers of unchecked stress and lifestyle choices in this digital age. He's survived by his mother, his pregnant wife, and his children, leaving behind not just a grieving family, but a community stunned by the loss of one of its most passionate voices. Well, I think my producers are telling us that we have a video to that effect. So if we're ready, let's just have that video right about now. Oh well, that's the video, and we very sad one there. I'm going to come to you, Barrister, just in a couple of seconds while we wrap up this conversation. A lot of these young individuals go about, well, according to reports, allegedly, we hear that he had that particular seizure because of quite a number of substance that he's been involved with, and quite disturbing for a young person of his age. What would you say, as it stands, can be done to maybe manage this situation? Because it's really disturbing. You see young individuals at their young age take some of these substances, and you see them act and misbehave inappropriately in public. What you say about this, Barrister?
I hope this is not another skit, because people are doing all sorts now to attract views and all that. But if it is true that he died in this manner and as a result of drugs, I mean, we cannot even say enough of the disaster that is going on in the country amongst our young people in terms of drug intake. You need to visit any of their parties, and you will be shocked and amazed at the level of substances that they throw around, things that you have never seen before, drugs that you have never seen before, and they take it and they do all sorts, of things, unspeakable things. We need to really educate our, young people that these things have their effect, right? If it doesn't come at you today, in a few years, it will come at you. Today, you are now having young people having so many issues with kidney problems, young people having so many issues with hypertension, and all sorts of diseases that typically it would be for older people, let's even say 40 and above. But today, people in their 20s are having these issues, people in their early 30s are having these serious issues. And some of the one of the reasons beyond the problem of fake drugs and the kind of food that we are eating today is the issue of drugs, and it is really, really shocking. And it's what makes it even more serious is the fact that even with the women, those days it used to be that men were the ones taking the drugs. Today, it appears that the table has turned, and you have your more women, taking drugs, taking, alcohol excessively. And so we need to empower agencies like the National Orientation Agency to really reach out to those people using social media, using the internet and the platforms that they patronize, so that we can highlight the disadvantages of these substances they are taking.
Thank you so very much, Barrister, for your take on that. Mr. Delifan, I'm going to come to you as well. What's your position with all of this kind of situation? I mean, you would have seen one or two of these young people somewhere around with these kind of substances, taking these kind of substances. What's your position in all of this, really?
You see, for me, I think the dangerous trend now that we're witnessing is that undue exposure to the social media, where people take the wrong role model, is what we find today. And as a result, what you see in the social media space today is about sex, drug, and women. I mean, well, you can relate sex to women, and then, so most of the time, even if you look at the music, the video of music, you see that they promote sex and drug. And when you have that kind of thing, teenagers are prone to believing that it is either you belong here or you belong nowhere. And it is the responsibility of the parents, the society, and even government to play a critical role in ensuring that people are more focused than destroy their lives.
All right. Quite unfortunate, really. Mr. Peter, I'm going to come to you to have your thoughts as well. You definitely would have seen this kind of young people. What do you think can be done to really salvage the situation? Because it's really alarming. I saw a video a couple of days ago, and a young man was just bent and was sleeping. And in my head, I'm like, why? How did you get to this point?
Well, for me, upbringing is very, very important. Because the Bible says, teach a child the way he should go, and when he grows, he will not depart from it. I know of about 5 secondary schools in Lagos here where they have the Mandians. Understand me?
Oh, wow.
So, and every Thursday, the students of secondary schools, they don't wear belts. Understand me? And they don't wear belt, and the girls who are Mandians don't wear bra.
Oh, wow.
Understand me? So, and they know each other by the way there's a greeting side, mafo, understand? Don't fear.
Okay.
So, and these children are coming from homes. Understand me?
Right.
So, if a child is supposed to wear belt on a Thursday and he's not putting on belt, you should ask why.
Questions. All right.
If a female is supposed to wear bra on a Thursday, she's not wearing bra, you should ask your daughter why. So home is where all these things start.
Okay.
And it is easy to train a child than to amend an adult.
Oh, well, that's a major place to end this conversation. Thank you so very much, Mr. Peter Anosike. And of course, our big thanks to Barrister who joined us this beautiful morning. I'm talking about Barrister Elvis Asia, and of course, Mr. Dele Fanimo for joining the conversation this beautiful morning. I want to say thank you so much, gentlemen, for being here. All right, we gotta go. That's the size of the show. We want to say thank you to everyone who definitely did tune in and, of course, was a part of this conversation. On behalf of myself and my colleague Vivian Oguche, we're saying do have an amazing weekend ahead. Don't allow the weekend weaken you. Always pray for Nigeria. God bless Nigeria.